Who alive can't put me in a box. I redefine any definition you got. I am the tiger, I'm making steps to the top. The flames, I whip it up, you just gotta hand me the rock. Take a seat, you cannot.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to Character Hour. In this and the next videos, we're going to spend the foreseeable future of the series with creating this new character. And I had an idea for this type of thing for a long time, and we are now going to do it. So what I'll do is I want to create some kind of a mix between a scientific and a medical character, medical officer or something like this. And for the visuals, we're going to mix a blend between Star Trek, Mass Effect, and my favorite show right now, The Expanse. I think it's an amazing show, and I think it should get as much love as it deserves. So we're not going to do a base mash. We have just a typical base mash, and the reason why we're not doing a base mash is because this is not about doing the base mash. If you work on a bigger project and you do not create the meshes, you're probably going to get something like this, like an A pose or a T pose. My phone, shut up phone. There we go, we shut him up. There we go. And from here on you can create your armor or clothing or hard surface details or whatever. Now we are going to create most of this outfit with clothing, but there will be some hard surface in it too, so it will be, I think it will be a cool mix. What we're going to do first right off the bat is we're going to create an avatar for Marvelous, because we are going to use Marvelous. A lot of people said that since you have dynamics, a lot of people criticized that ZBrush used its dynamic systems to be kind of do what Marvelous does, but one, you cannot get the result from Marvelous with dynamics, and two, the dynamics functionality of ZBrush is so much more than just a cloth sculpting tool like some people suggest it is. So what we're going to do now is, it's enough points, so I'm just going to split the eyes off, split hidden, and I am going to go to plugin, FBX export import. I imported it as an FBX, that's why this is open, and we're going to export selected. We're going to call it MD avatar, hit enter. It exported for a second, and we're now going to jump to Marvelous, and we're going to build the first layer of clothing first, which is the pants, because she'll have a pants and some kind of a mix between a jacket and a lab coat. And when you're doing armor or clothing, you always build from the bottom outside, from the bottom up basically. So we will build the first layer. First we'll build the layer of clothing or armor that's the closest, yeah, to her body, and then we're going to continue with the next layer. So I'm going to see you in Marvelous in 2, 3, 1, go. Let's go and right off the bat import our FBX. There you go. We are going to automatically add arrangement points. We can do either auto scale or centimeters, because we're working ZBrush to 3ds Max, and our final destination is Unreal, and Unreal works in centimeters, so it's fine for your pipeline to be in the correct units. All right, we have our I almost said guy, our girl here, and we are going to start doing a very quick pants. Right, and I'm going to symmetric pattern with sewing to get the front part. Gonna grab those two, Control C, move it, Control V, actually Control C. I'm sorry, I pressed Control X, Control C, Control V to get it, and we gotta press Control G. That will turn the faces backwards, and we're just gonna nudge them where we want them to be, and those two. Let me show you what happens if you sew them like this. So this one to this one, yep, to this one. And you can with these newer versions of Marvelous, you can sew in the 3D viewport, which is awesome. I don't think you could in the past. Now you can. So let's do like this. Whoops, that's not what we wanted. This to this and this to this. Oh, I already have it. Yeah, already have it. Okay, so now what you do, if you simulate it like this, it will be kind of shitty for you. So one thing I do, if I press this button here, I will get back to this position. What I do is I arrange my flat patterns with a little taper and a little bit higher than it has to go. And I will do this for this one. So a little bit like this, a little bit up, a little bit backwards in this case. So what happens now is when I press simulate, it first starts from here because this is the closest path, and once it clips it, your pants or skirt or whatever you're doing doesn't go all the way down. It still did, so that's probably because we have to move those with this here. Come on, undo it, be nice. There you go. I'm gonna move those, and I'm going to start moving them. Press right click on the mouse, and I'm going to go for a 5. And I'm to go for a 5 here as well. And let's try now. Okay, that's much better. Still not what we want, so we can try the nudging thing again, but I'm pretty sure it won't work. So we'll have to, it kind of work, but not too much. So what we'll do now is we're going to create a little bit of offset. So I'm going to get, first of all, let's create a new fabric. We want our fabric to be kind of a hard one, so kind of something leathery. Let's try with this one first, and I'm going to give it an idea of gray in the color, just so I can see which one I create with my new fabric, right? Which one are in the new fabric. There you go. And I'm going to simulate now. As you can see, the layer brings it much harder. However, what we want to do is I want to create a little inner offset. So if you hold this, there are a lot of other things that you can use. I use this one a lot, which is X in a shortcut, and it let me create new points. So let's do 5 here, 5 not 8, 5, and let's do 5 here. The microphone is in the way of my numpad, and I can see what I'm typing half of the time. There you go. And I'm going to now use this one to connect those. Double click to finish it like this, and we're going to go back to edit pattern, grab those two, this one and this one, and right click and cut and sew. And now here we can go for, let's try with the elastic options and see how it goes actually. And let's, oh no, I think it might, with the cut and sew, it might fucked up this thing here. Yeah, so we're going to simulate this time. Now as you can see, it runs much better because the elastic keeps our pants where they should be. I kind of need it to be a little bit bigger, so I can get this whole thing here. This thing, actually I can click on this point and I can convert to curve, right? And we'll do the same here, convert to curve. And now I can use the curve, edit curve point, whatever, and I can move it up a little bit. Okay, I can get those two, and let's get the selection. I can get those and this one. I can move them up a little bit like this, and same with those two, and simulate again. Okay, that's better. Cool. So basically what I don't like here is how tight it is around her butt. So we are going to press what was it? I always forget, Z. We're going to get this curves and move it out a little bit, and I'm going to move them just by, that's too much, just by 2. I'm going to move this one by 2. Now it's much more relaxed, but also it's also leather, so you cannot expect it to be very relaxed, right? And we can move those by 2 and those by 2 to correct our previous, the movement of our other line. So bring them up like this. It's way in her butt, so a little bit relaxing here. It's way still way up. So what we can do is we can grab those points and move them down just a little bit. So again by 2. And simulate then. Yep, that's much relaxed fit here. And I think this will work. We can always try with different patterns, so with different materials. So I can grab, not leather, if I do raw denim for example, and I resim it, you can make fancy things here, like for her where the pants meet in the middle, in the front, you can make it like a zipper thing or whatever. I'm not going to do those because I'm not going to be, they're not going to be seen 1 and 2. I have a different idea in mind. So now I can get those two and solidify them. And I can even disable them, I think. Let's deactivate pattern and sewing. Whoops. Freeze. There you go. And now I can simulate. And I can do like this a little bit more. For this one too, why I didn't freeze? I don't get it. There you go. Freeze. Cool. I can now use this to get more of a ooh. Maybe we need them to be a little bit bigger. But I like this transition from very tight to a little bit more relaxed feel. I'm going to stick with it, I think. Okay, I think this is good enough. So now what we need to do is obviously unfreeze those. Unfreeze. Why not? We can now get everything. This, I decided to keep those frozen, and I'm going to drop my particle distance. This very much depends on what hardware you're running. Mine is pretty solid, so I don't think I will have any problems. It will say that if you drop it below 5, you are you're in trouble on lower systems, but on this one I think it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. Okay, I am now going to get everything and export it. And if you want to, when we go to ZBrush, you will see, but when you export straight from ZBrush, you do not smooth the normals, right? ZBrush doesn't smooth any normals, so this is why you get those little points here. However, this is very easily solved. I was working for the word solved inside ZBrush. So we have all those at a particle distance of 4. We're going to export selected, and we're going to call it MD pens 01. I'm going to export it. Now it will give you a lot of options here. All you want to do is make sure, at least for what we are doing, is to have it on weld and to have it thin. And then centimeters, because we imported in centimeters. And we're going to export it. There you go. We can now drop this back to 20. Right? And we can actually save this. Holy crap, not here. There we go. I'm gonna call it marvelous. Just marvelous. It will know that it is a marvelous project. Alright guys, we are back in ZBrush. What I'm going to do is I am quickly... What? Oh, my cat. Sorry. Just give me a second. Alright, we are in ZBrush. Sorry about that. The cat was being an asshole. We are going to append anything really. Let's do a cylinder. And in the cylinder we are going to import... Holy crap. The pants, finally. Oh no. Sorry, you gotta have it selected and then import the pants. There we go. Alright, we have them. Right off the bat, what I do is I clone it, and now I have them as different subtool, which will come in handy because the one that I'm going to use, I'm pretty much going to destroy. Now, when you go from Marvelous to ZBrush, a lot of things you gotta have on mind. First, as you can see, those things here that I told you will be kind of jagged cloth. If I try to smooth them now, it will start tearing up the mesh, because if you go Control F and you go Auto Groups, you will notice that every piece of pattern that we created in Marvelous is its own piece of geometry, right? That's what the Auto Groups does. It's underneath groups, whatever it was, I don't know. I just keep masking, visibility, polygroups. There you go, polygroups, Auto Group. I keep it always, I keep it in my UI because I use it a lot. If you want to get this UI, go to my Gumroad and you'll get it for free. If you don't, just create your own. You should. Anyway, so what we'll do now is we're going to go to modify topology, weld points, and we're going to weld points, but we are going to go for distance of 2. And the reason why we're going with distance of 2 is because sometimes there is just a little bit more within the folds, and then you have to weld it later down the line, which we don't want to have. So now if I go to auto groups, everything is one group, right? Now you can start working on this. However, the next problem you have to solve is that it's all this triangulated, almost like a decimated mesh, which is not ideal for us. So what I'll do is I'll duplicate it, right? There we go. I'll duplicate it and I'll go solo on the duplicate, and I'm going to start zero meshing it down. Now I'm going to keep my symmetry off, very important, otherwise there is no point in working Marvelous first if you're just going to destroy half of your mesh and create it symmetrical. And the adaptive size, I'm going to keep an adaptive size of 10, very slow. Let's go even a little bit higher though, 8, I don't know, 15. So the adaptive size is basically, ZBrush says, okay, the polygons can be different in size, but the adaptive size depends how much of a difference the polygons can have. If you have adaptive size of 0, it will make all the polygons of the zero mesh the same size, which is very good for hot surface parts, but for folds and stuff like this, you can keep them a little bit with a little bit of breathing room. Now the way you can start dynameshing it down is you can either start dial your number, and all this is inside geometry zero measure tab, right? And here you can have legacy zero measure, which is the old one from 2018 as it says. You can dial the count, or you can start doing it by half. If you do not know how much you need, you can go by half and half and half and half until you get to the point of the lowest geometry resolution that you want to have. However, I'm just going to go straight forward to 20, which means this will save me about 4 zero meshes at half the size, and I'm going to hit zero mesh and wait a couple of seconds. In the first one, it's a little bit harder to do. It will take like 5 or 6 seconds more, but you know, guys, it's just doing wonders right now, so don't be assholes about it. All right, we are now at a very low workable resolution, and I can now zero mesh it by half. So this will give me something that is very good, and now I can start projecting it. So if I go back to this, I can come here, let's disable those, enable this one, and I can go to project, play with the settings and project all, dynamesh it, go one level higher, project all again, and rebuild my mesh in a very close resemblance to the mesh we had. However, in the beginning of the video I said I'm not going to do this, right? I am going to go to where I was here. I'm going to start working from here on, right? I needed Marvelous to get those things here, and that's it pretty much. So what we'll do is we are going to use the dynamics next. Now the dynamics is, if you go with your stand brush and create some bullcrap, in the options of your brush you can go to elasticity, and you can go for simulation iterations, you can go to 100, and then in the dynamics it actually plays like a fold brush, right? And in this very small resolution, it is good to start here. I'm going to delete this, I don't need it, but I'm going to bring my body and my other thing right? So now we can start creating using either my standard brush to give it a little bit more volume where I think it needs volume, like here, because it's a little bit on her body too much, like something like this, right? Go up a level and so forth. Or let's go back here. Or I can use the cloud brushes. So there are a lot of cloud brushes. There are like cloud nudge, cloud move is something that's usually good. I don't know how it will work on this low resolution though, but as you can see, yeah, I don't want. You see, it works pretty fine. Okay, as you can see, it works pretty good, and the more resolution it is, the bigger your strokes will be. Now if I go to, let's say 1, 2, 3 subdivisions higher, if I use this, you see how different it acts like, right? So we, oops, there's just, you gotta play with your brushes a lot and learn what each of them do. However, I am going to go back to my subdivision 1. I'm going to delete higher. From here on, we are going to start creating our panels. This outfit will have multiple panels on it. As I said, it will have a lot of hard surface details as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start slicing on this mesh. I can probably duplicate it like this. Let's visible count, let's bump up those. There you go. So now I'm going to go for my slice curve. There you go. And I'm going to slice curve here. And I'm going to start mirror welding. Now for this one, I can use mirror and weld because those will be symmetrical, right? And I can do it like this and then slice curve here. Like this. Okay, mirror and weld. So now I can start grabbing what I want. I will want one here too though. Start like this and start grabbing the things I want. It looks fine to me. Let's just delete hidden, and you can do it more once you like this. Okay, so now once we have that set up, what we can do is we can move this back in, and the idea is that we do not work one piece and we do one piece until it's finished, and then move to the next one. That's not how ZBrush works. What we're going to do is we're going to work on stages rather. So that's pretty much, I think, done for us. Alright, so now those we got a zero mesh. Now if you zero mesh like this, if you zero mesh like that, with symmetry or whatever, you always have the risk. Let me see. It's zero mesh pretty good. However, you always run the risk of having your edges, like this one edge here, messed up. So what I usually do is I use this mask by features, and I can select whatever I want from here. So now I have all of those selected, but since the only feature I have is the border, I don't have different groups, I don't have different creases. If I had different groups, like whoops, like let's say this is a group, if I go and mask it by feature, it will mask this one as well, right? So then if you have different groups, you have to just click on the board just for the borders to work and mask it. I can now return what I call it, invert the selection, and I can polish it just a little bit, just a tiny bit, and this will always also give me this little it will destroy the sharper edges, which I don't want anyway. If you are fine with sharper edges and stuff and it just works to straight zero mesh it, do it. So I'm going to zero mesh it again. That's pretty good for me. One thing I do not like is this whole thing. I want this whole to be more clear, so I'm going to use the Z modeler, which in my hotkeys is 1, and I'm straight up going to just like paint what I don't need, and I'm going to press paste, delete it, boom. And actually I guess we'll delete those two and go. I'm going to zero mesh it with the same resolution, and basically when you zero mesh with the same resolution, all you get is a better flow, right? This one here as well I do not appreciate, so something like this. It's good. And if I delete those, I can also just auto group it, isolate it, and delete what's missing. Cool. This one here I want it to be full, so let's get off symmetry mode, and I'm going to bridge 2 points. Actually not bridge, stitch 2 points to midpoint. There we go. Works like a charm, and I'm going to insert. Now I'm going to have my symmetry selected, and I'm going to insert one edge loop here to have more even flow, right? Okay, cool. We're creating a little bit of chaps. I don't know if I can call them chaps, but yeah, something like this. And with the move brush, you can just move it. If your move brush is set to 1, it will move points. Cool. All right. Not like this one. Go. And I do not like this one. There we go. Cool. Now this is our main piece. From this we're going to create multiple new panels. However, those will be later on. So from here we want to create a little bit of a thickness, and the way I do thickness is I either use the Z modeler or I use the panel loops. And let me show you how we do panel loops and how we do Z modeler. So with the Z modeler I can go for Q mesh. Yep, Q mesh, and we'll do all polygons, and I can Q mesh it in and out, right? Q mesh it like this, or I can Q mesh it like inside. Now all polygons, there you go. If I Q mesh it out, it will create basically what would be a panel loop with only one loop. If I hold Alt, however, Shift, however, it will just inflate it a little bit, which is what I want, because then I have my outer thickness, this was way too much, so I'm going to go for a little bit lower, something like this, and then I'm going to Q mesh it in to something like that. And once I have this, right now I have it proper, I think. Yep. Yeah, have proper. Used to be that you had to flip the normals, but I guess that's not the point, and that's not the case anymore. So we have this one. So she will have straps from here across her legs. My phone is ringing. A second. Sorry about that, the phone was deliveries. Okay, so where we were, yeah, we created those things, and this is metodo numero uno to do it. Now for DOS, what we do is we're gonna go way back all the way to here, where we are confident of being happy with the shape. So now to use panel loops, it's a little bit more tricky, and there is a very good plugin which I don't have it here, unfortunately. It's a free plugin, I think. It's called Panel Loops Master or something like this. Just go on the Pixelogic website and get it. It lets you get very good profiles on your panel loops much quicker. So it will be under, let me see, I have an edge loop. There you go. So with this menu, we can do a panel loop, and we'll create this one right off the bat, right? And I just clicked it so you can see what it created straightforward. And I'm a big proponent of panel loops because one, you can create a good polish and stuff like this, and also you can make different profiles from that. So let me show you. 0.001 thickness is way too much, so we're going to go for 0.005, right? Let's see. That's reading well. I think that's fine for us. It also gives you the polish. Sorry about that. Gives you the polish. Now the polish is, if I go to zero polish, panel loop it, you keep the same geometry. But with the polish, if I go for polish of 2 with a closed dot, it will give you a little bit more of a chamfered look. And the more you go for, let's say 10, it gives you better and better look. Also the open dot and the closed dot, it's the open dot is very much harder, so much harder polish, right, than the closed dot. So about 4 is what I want here. Okay, so we have this one. Now the next thing we have to look forward in the panel loops is the number of loops. Like this is way too much, right? So it is here that you see this. If you go for like 2 loops, it will create just this bevel, which is a very good idea to start with. If you go for one loop, it will basically create what is it, an extraction, right? The double option is if you want to create a face underneath, which I usually do. Alright, so now we are going to have 3 loops like this, and then the next thing we want to do is the bevel. So now it's a bevel of 50. If you go for a bevel of 0, it will create like a straight line, which is good because then you can get this whole, to Q mesh this whole polygroup, so polygroup O, and if you Q mesh it in this, you get this little hard edge kind of inset that could be used very it could be very helpful when you're creating like intricate mechanical designs and stuff. We do not need this, so we are going to go back to a bevel of 20. There you go, that's good enough for me. And you have elevation, which is something that I want to talk about. Now, if you are like this and say, okay, I want this to be this here to be the front, right? Then you go to elevation of -100, and it creates them inward and creates the panel loops inwards. That's good, very good. Now, if you create, let's go for a poly group, right? Single poly. If you create a poly group here, 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 and here, and you poly group it. Wait, where was it? Let's see. Interesting. I'm pretty sure yeah, there you go. If you have a poly group and you group it, it will make it into its own poly group, right? Which is good to create some kind of details, inside details. If you go to ignore groups, it will polygroup it as one. It will not create panels there. Now, regroup loops. If you regroup panels, it will give them different groups, right? This is all things that you can play with, that I'm not going to do right now. I just wanted to show you what you can do. So for our purposes, I'm going to actually combine the 2 things that we talked about till now. I'm going to Q mesh all this a little bit more with holding a shift to give me a little bit more of thickness, and then I'm going to do the bevel with minus elevation. All right, that's good. And now what I can do is I can get this one, get my BC nudge. There was something called cloth nudge, which was a very good tool. There you go, cloth nudge. And I can start moving this inwards. I can probably start with the standard brush. Just keep in mind that I think my standard brush, yeah, still has elasticity. So I can just start bringing my pants inwards. I can put transparency on and disable the body. And now I can see, turn off ghost. Now I can see where this is, so I can just like eat away my cloth where it should be. And because it has the elasticity, if I bring back the body, it actually reacts much better than it used to before, because otherwise I would have to like destroy completely the mesh here and then use a cloth brush that I still have them, BFB. Those cloth brush are on my gumroad as well. I created those a long time ago. It's basically a normal brush with some gravity on it. I haven't tried them with simulation before, so we are going to see how it works actually. But for now I can just go with the clay and I can bring back all this inside, and sooner or later we are going to destroy it. Do not worry. We're going to delete this because it's unnecessary for us on this geometry, but for now it's pretty decent to just be there like this. Oh, it's okay, it's no problem. We can just inflate it a tad. There we go. And we can just move it a little bit. Inflated by 2. Yep, that's good enough. Right, let's bring the pants back on. There we go. And with the clay, continue showing the mesh. That's fine. Cool. And because we use the cloth here, you see how it gets this, the beginning of the pressure that this piece gets to this piece. Let's give her a little bit of a better view here. That's good. Now this, mind you, is a very small resolution, right? So probably around here will be a good way for us to Control D to subdivide it once. And start creating better looking shapes. Now for this part here, the straps, how we are going to do them is we are going to actually, you know what, let's do this. We're going to bring it back, Control and Z, until we have no subdivisions. There we go. And I'm going to duplicate this, Control Shift D, there we go. And I'm duplicating this because from this piece here I am going to start creating my next piece, and this is going to be slice curve. I'm going to create straps, and the straps can be done with a brush, or you can create them like this. Now if you create them like this, it's basically the same that we did before. Oops, sorry. Mirror and weld always works from one side, so if you do not want to remake it properly like this and then mirror and weld it, you will have to go to deformation, mirror it first and then mirror and weld it, right? However, this is more than fine with me. Mirror and weld, get those, delete hidden, get out of solo. And now I can work with actually, let's do it here so we can work properly. There you go. Mirror and weld, get this, delete hidden. Now we have the beginning of our straps. those will be kind of, let's zero mesh them first. So I'm quickly going to activate symmetry and zero mesh them with no adaptive size, as we said before. This time I'm not going to do adaptive size, and I'm going to, I don't see, yeah, we're going to do the same polygroup count, and we're going to to zero mesh them a couple of times. We get something that's really to our liking, and I'm going to press Alt and T, no, Shift and T. Wait, what is my, god damn it, I forgot what my hotkey for transparency is. We're going to get this, and I'm going to use the select rectangle, get here, actually we're going to need the select lasso, get here, delete, let's say this one, whoops, and this one, right? We're going to delete hidden, we're going to auto group it, we're going to select just this one, invert the selection, delete this, oops, delete hidden, mirror and weld, and now have only these pieces here to work with. All right, so now we are going to basically create the same thing we did with those panels. However, for this one I am going to first nudge them into position, which I think they are. Let me check. They are. I'm going to bring them just one tiny bit in, and I'm holding Alt, and by holding Alt I am moving them alongside their normal, right? Okay, that's way too much, I think. You can do another thing by holding doing the Q mesh in the Alt. I just prefer to do it like this. Okay, so now let's create the straps here. Now let's fine and dandy, we can pretty much just panel loop right from it. And that's a design that I might enjoy. However, I don't want this. What I do want is to go inwards, and I want, let me show you, I want, let's go 1 for the Z modeler, and let's go like this. Oh, whoops, all the way back in here like that. And I'm going to polygroup, single poly or whatever, and by holding Alt I isolated all the polygons that I wanted to be my own polygroup. I'm going to create it like this. I'm going to isolate this one, auto group it, hide this one and this one, Control W, invert selection, Control W, and now I have this one. What I can do here is, if I panel loop it now, I will get this little variation, which I like very much. However, I can probably make it even more interesting, and this is basically what you want to do. However, I am kind of want to do something like this. Hide the sector of 3, Control W, hide another sector of 3, Control W, another one, whoops, that's of 3, Control W, and just go back like this, all the way to the back. What I'm doing is I'm creating a different polygroups that when I panel loop them will be separate things. right? Oops, that's way too much. Like this. And finally this. Wait, oh my god, I fucked up. No, never mind, we can fix that. Those three. Okay, this one will be one poly group. There you go. Cool. So now when I have this, if we quickly panel loop those, we get this thing here, which I think is pretty cool. So now we just have to configure the panel loops, and we're going to do once again the 20 bevel. You can do it actually, let's try this, 0 bevel and 0 polish, 0.002 with one loop, 2 loops between them, elevation of -100, and go. And as you can see now, you don't see any difference, but if I subdivide it, dynamically subdivide it, you're going to see those things, which I think is pretty good and pretty slick looking. Now we can actually, you know what, let's delete this one, and if after we're done, we can always mirror it. So I want this group here to be divided by normal, to group by normals, which will give me those edges here. I'm going to crease PG. So now I have those as well, and we can make it, let me see, in the crease options, we are going to make the crease level of 3 and the dynamic subdivision level of 4, right? So that means it's a very small object, so we don't get to see too much of a detail. I have to zoom really close. So what we do now, come on. What is going on? There we go. So right now, what I'll do, I'm sorry, I was distracted. What I'll do is I'll set my smooth subdivision of 3 and my crease of 1. And what this will do is it will crease only one time, and then, but it will subdivide it 3 times, right? And then if I go to, let's go 2, this will give me pretty much the very hard edge, but not as hard as I want it to be. And you can, if you want to try, you can always just go with the Z modeler, remove this one, and it should give you 2, and this one of 3. It will give you a smoother line, right? Which I believe this will do. So now what we need to do is let's see, we need to group by normals, increase PGs. This will give us this little thing here, and what we can do is we can play with the same things. Let's do a crease of 2 and subdivision of 5. That's way too much. Let's just basically, because it's the first piece we are creating, we are basically still playing around to see if to nudge the numbers right. And once you get into action, and you must create multiple pieces, you will have pretty much the same idea. We can leave those for now, and we are going to mirror and weld it. And now, once again, we are going to go with our clay buildup, clay tool. Let's go our standard brush because it has the simulation iterations. We're going to make sure it interacts properly, like this. Cool. Cool, that's the first piece. To be more precise, you can always like go back to this piece here, and you know what? Let's make this whole thing here. So I'm going to mark those. I'm going to actually one less, just those two, those little square, and I'm going to Q mesh it. Poly group, single poly, it doesn't matter because we've masked it, and we're going to hold out. Well, you gotta be on Q mesh to do this, motherfucker. There you go. Single poly. I'm going to hold Alt Shift, and it will give us this little kind of a bump, gradual bump, that when we smooth it, it looks like this piece goes in here, and that's why this piece here has this kind of thing, right? And then you can get those, and you can move all of them with a very big, high brush size. You can just move them up a little bit backwards, like this. Okay, mirror and weld it. Cool. Alright, now this is very wonky, and we do not want this wonkiness. So we're going to do the same. We're going to crease it, but we're going to do group binomials. We're going to crease PG, see what we get. Let's go to Madcap Gray actually. I like to work with Madcap Gray and Skin Shade, obviously, if I do creatures. And another thing, I have a zebra modeling, which is a zebra material. You gotta go check it. He's amazing at doing stuff like this. And this here is our first piece. I think we'll put an end in the episode here. Let me see how long we've been going at it. Okay, a little bit. Let's do something else. Let's do one final piece, and let's see what we wanted. So to do the belt, I want to just have a buckle here. I don't know if it's not too westerny, but I like this, this thing here. Let's create. Let's give it a little bit more detail. All right. So to do this, all we're gonna do, we're gonna work on this piece, and we are going to, let's see. What do we want to do? I think we can do like this. I'll do him in the spacing of 2, holding out with the Z modeler brush. And this one here, just because we have this bump, I'm going to put a little bit less. There we go. There we go. Okay. And we can now Q mesh them, and we can do it two ways. We can Q mesh them like this, very gradually, very slightly, will give us this little detail, or we can Q mesh them holding Alt. Oops, what am I doing? There you go. Holding Alt, and it will give us this like a, I don't know what is in code, what effect, but it's kind of cool. However, I like the padding more, so let's do this just slightly. That was too much, but don't worry, we can always Q mesh polygroup all. We can always grab this, and with shift we can dial it back. All right, that's very slow, a very smooth transition, but I think it will look good. Cool. This here will be covered by, as I said, between a lab coat and I don't know what, a jacket you might call it. So now we are going to start working on I'll bring one subdivision finally. First, let's before we bring one subdivision, let's Control-Shift-D to duplicate it, right? And I will bring this one we can hide. And we can put, even with this one, we can put in a folder, new folder, call it backups, right? And we can just hide a folder. There we go. In this folder, I want to go all the way there. Cool. Cool. All right, now we can get this one, and I've already subdivided it once. So now I can start using the elasticity to create a little bit more of a feel that this pants are kind of compressed by the letter on top of them, right? So I'm going to go for a slower, something like this. Cool. Let's try the cloud brushes. I'm still not completely aware of how should use them. I'm still learning, just like most of the people, because they're relatively new. But as you can see, with just a little movement, you get this here really nice little effects that you would be totally unable to do otherwise. Let's go back to the cloth, to the clay, and just going to bring back this a little bit. Whoops. There we go. And then we're gonna use the pinch cloth pool. Whoops. God damn it. You gotta, I guess, combine. Right, let's reduce what we do not want, because sometimes it goes overboard like this. And now I can go with the stern brush, and if I create a bigger fold, it will stay, those small ones will stay on it. This, there you go. Awesome. Cool. From this point on, you can start introducing colors. For example, this thing here, come on, there you go. This thing here, you can put your mRGB. You can give it some art color, like something like this. You can fill the object. Probably let's do it with the standard material. Interesting. Oh, let's do madcap gray. There we go. Right. So now this one here is kind of reading better. And introducing colors is something I talked on a video a long time ago. I think it was 5 tips for ZBrush, but introducing colors will allow you to be much more flexible in terms of reading your own design, even when at the point where you still don't know exactly how you want to go with it. So this is kind of where I think we will end up. Let's go to ZBrush. There we go. We can oops. Cool. Okay, that being said, thanks for watching this episode. Remember to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for everything. And I will see you in the next one, where we are going to start building the top, which will be kind of a lap code, something that goes to about here, I think, something like this. And we're going to start detailing everything on her. Thanks very much. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.